na pribilehiyo na mamulusang ito.
I move that we proceed with the reference of business.
What about the journal?
Sir President, I will go to that after the reference of business because there are some amendments.
The reference of business.
Bills on first reading, Senate Bill number 2769, an act creating the Agrarian Reform.
Secretary will proceed with the reference of business.
Bills on first reading, Senate Bill 2769, an act creating the Agrarian Reform Commission, number 6697, Senate Bill number 2770, an act fostering a culture of voluntary purpose, Article 128 of Presidential Decree number 442 as amended, otherwise known as the Labor Code of the Philippines by Senator Ejercito Estrada.
Labor, Employment, Human Resource Development.
2771, an act amending Section 10 of Republic Act number 8484, also known as an act regulating the issuance and use.
Labor, Employment, Human Resource Development.
2771, an act amending Section 10 of Republic Act number 8484, as an act regulating Santiago. Writing and commending Congressman Emmanuel Manny in Sports. This is the sole aid number 03, series of 2015 by Senator Cayetano.
Local governments.
1354, directing the appropriate Senate committees to conduct an inquiry and aid of legislation on the earthquake and disaster preparedness and reform. 1356, congratulating and commending Jerfield Flores, Funky Dance Group, Junior New System, and singer Gwyneth Dorado for bringing pride to the country after emerging victorious as finalists in the first season of the reality show Asia's Got Talent on 14 May 2015 at the Marina Bay Sands in Singapore by Senator Lapid.
Rules.
1357, congratulating and commending film director Percival Intalan, actress Maria Leonora Teresa Nora Cabaltera Honor, and actor Emilio Garcia for bringing pride to the country after emerging victorious in the third St. Tropez International Film Festival held on 16 May 2015 at the Hotel Westminster in Nice, France by Senator Lapid.
Rules.
1358, directing the proper Senate committee to conduct an inquiry and aid of legislation on the Commission on Audit report that $670 million in Priority Development Assistance Fund and Development Acceleration Program allocations for Filipino Muslims went to dubious non-government organizations by Senator Defensor Santiago.
Finance.
1359, directing the proper Senate committee to conduct an inquiry and aid of legislation on reported labor rights violations to the Valenzuela footwear factory recently gutted by a fire by Senator Defensor Santiago.
Labor, Employment, Human Resource Development.
1360, resolution directing the proper Senate committee to conduct an inquiry and aid of legislation on the Commission on Audit report that the Securities and Exchange Commission
Environment and
first grand prize Asia's Got Talent at the Singapore on May 14, 2015, appropriate Senate committee to conduct an inquiry and rules and guidelines, including the practices being done and the actual implementation.
Reword rates the title. Section in the end, Secretary, read only the title.
And at a designated airport in order to put a stop consistent with the aims of the Chicago Convention. The protocol, states are obliged to ensure that civilian aircrafts are not used for nefarious purposes. Presumably, the new 78 made it imperative to revisit the Chicago concurrence of the tragedies on adopted by consensus. Salient features. Colleagues, the protocol has the following permanent residents in that state. Each contracting state shall standards in that of instance with this protocol advances Philippines. Mr. President, sponsorship speech on foreign relations, Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago. Accident and death or injury arise, passengers are entitled to 113,000 special drawing rights, which is roughly equivalent to US $176,000 or 7,300,000 pesos. There is no need for plaintiff to prove negligence since the entitlement is predictable. Historical background. The Philippines acceded to the 1920 damages. At the time of the adoption of the €200 or SDR, approximately €5,000 or 7,500.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we open the period for interpellation.
Deliberations is in order.
Mr. President, to give our colleagues more time and opportunity to under committee report number 139.
So suspended. Option of the measure is in order.
The parliamentary status is that the sponsor delivered his sponsorship speech 15. I thus move that we open the period.
Some of them music also. Who is present here with us? May I ask him to stand? He's here in our special gallery section, Mr.
But the trophies and awards are not present. Just Mr. Wu.
Oh, but yesterday he brought
As the sponsor, if there are any committee amendments,
there are no amendments, Mr.
move that we close the amendment.
So terminated.
With the amendments as follows. Lines 3 to place as provided under the Constitution. 2 and the registration, comma, that a new Section 3 be inserted to read as follows. Section 3. Upon registration of the oath of allegiance, comma, the Bureau of Immigration shall naturally say this Section 3. Delete the phrase. Hindi. Mali ito. So where is it? Where is it? Mr. President. We have House Bill, Mr. President, that the Section 3 of the House Bill now becomes Section 4, and on line 10, delete the phrase
Directed an abstention on the part of the Senate President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that we suspend consideration of House Bill number 4073 and 108. Sir, Senator. President, may
Thank you, Mr. President. I am in receipt of from Senator Ejercito Estrada, who intends to pose interpellation questions to House Bill 4537 under committee report number. In the past, we have accommodated questions from other members of the Senate who have been here, and so
with Senator Jing. As to Senator JV will not object, we will give them time.
Senator Osmeña wishes to be recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just as a matter.
and for the record, Mr. President, any objection for the House?
Agreement.
Consideration of the measure is suspended.
Sir President, Senate, I assume consideration of Senate Bill 2675 under Committee Report number 106. This is the legislative bill on the Coconut Farmers and Industry Development Act, Mr. President.
Resumption of the consideration of Senate Bill 2675 is in order.
Sir President, the parliamentary status is that the sponsor has delivered her sponsorship speech last March 9. Open the period for interpellation.
Senator Villar is
Senator
interpellation.
Come from which a fund, a trust fund, the income from which would benefit of the farm. Am I correct?
That is true, Mr. President.
Now, when we say coconut farmers, we're talking about coconut farmers in the past or only current and future coconut farmers?
Under this bill, we have provided, Mr. President, that the PCA will make a registry, what the PMO or the the committee to where to use the money and invest the money, but afterwards there will be an office which will implement treasury. the income of the fund will be managed by the committee.
Okay. Now, I think the good sponsor knows that yield on treasury bills is awfully low. What is the yield today, for example?
I think around 2%.
Percent.
Yeah.
So
That's
farmers
very
much.
temporary, Mr. President. It goes up when there's
Manifest in the country. However, the returns also, Mr. President, while you say, let's continue.
Yes.
While you say that treasury go up and down, this will be time investment. I don't think that you will be allowing them to trade, to gamble and trade in treasury bills. Once bought, they will probably hold the bills to maturity. Am I correct?
Yes.
All right.
Mr. President.
So, parang one-time shot lang ito.
Like make a mistake, once we're afraid that more income, but there is also a very big chance that you will be losing the principal.
I don't think so. Frankly, for example, an investment in PLD.
Also a very big chance that you will be losing the principal in case of bad investments.
I don't think so. To tell you frankly, for example, an investment in PLDT shares would be yielding you about imaginative concern. I think they would want to spend. May we did talk would want to greater know if the committee
About it, Mr. But like for me, I have done investment and I have made
institutions.
the committee have thought about it, Mr. President. Like even if the returns are small. But
All right.
anyway, if you have any idea on how we can describe that there is so much to take, then maybe I can accept amendments on that.
Mr. President, what you yes, we do agree. Life, business is a matter of managing risk.
Yes.
All right, deployment of resources, and there are institutions that do have expertise in that. Like I said and mentioned earlier, Mr. President, the GSIS. The GSIS officials don't invest their own money; they invest the money of the Filipino people and the members of GSIS. Have like I said and mentioned earlier, Mr. President, the GSIS. Officials don't invest money; they invest obligations. Theoretically, means cash plus appreciation of the money in T-bills.
Mr. President, maybe you're thinking of certain GSIS management that made good in their investment, but we have to accept also that there were times when GSIS did not manage there were times when GSIS did not. Remember, the provision of this law, Mr. President, is to use the interest, not the principal. So we're looking that this fund intent is to use the principal. So we're looking that this fund will generate that we will earn less that farmers is not in a year. So my feeling is unforeseen unforeseen circumstances would risk the money in case the people whom we have chosen will not be able to manage the funds well. You know, it's a return risk, but return risk.
Company.
In these companies, they own them, so there is that. In these companies, they own them, so there is
Managed by us. You put your money in the bank is the one managing your money. You put you invest your money in a corporation, that
we will not manage. And then 30 billion in capital assets of companies else, and then 30 billion in capital assets.
In those companies
because or investments. Because I believe that we are not in companies, so just sell the companies and then put it all in a trust. Sell the companies and then put it all in a trust. The plan by the following: the plan shall set the direction and policies for the rehabilitation development of the coconut industry. Shall set the direction and policies for the rehabilitation and development is insufficient. They have a registry, but they don't have
that are mentioned in the bill are more or less the same as the mandate of the Philippine Coconut Authority.
No, they will not, in here, for the programs relating to planting, replanting, fertilization, research and development, market promotion, farm-to-market roads, and direct lending shall be funded through regular appropriations. This is to the one from the PCA.
And what that's supposed to be being done today by the PCA.
What they're doing services, since we will make a coconut farmers registry, then that could be a basis of enrolling them to PhilHealth, kasi since they are poor, they're entitled to PhilHealth, and that's what we are doing now with the fisher folk being enrolled. Enrolled sa PhilHealth, take care of the health service
For 3 million farmers.
Yes, really, they're
In the period of interpellations, and I can perhaps come in during the
senator from Cebu.
All right. Is there any, the session is suspended for 1 minute. Who is, nasaan na si Alan?
Act of 2015.
Consideration of the
President, the parliamentary status is that the sponsor, March 16. I thus move that we open the period of interpellation.
period for is in order.
I move that we recognize the sponsor, Senator Recto and Senator Osmeña to
as a secretary of a department. Meaning, if we elevate the ICTO into a cabinet, to a department to begin with, then there will be more advocacy in the cabinet, considering the global how globalization is working today with regard to the digital economy as well. It would be able to communicate with the Department of Education. It's 3.2 billion.
what is going to be were to pass this bill, which I hope passes, occasion for next year. For its first year of
The President has
operation.
not submitted a budget proposal.
Possibility,
There is a higher probability, Mr.
a
President.
very relative answer, a more straightforward.
I do
commitment.
have a telcos providing this value-added service a minimum internet speed.
Minimum,
A minimum internet speed which is very fast. What is our bill? DT and Meralco into an internet company and to a power. It's about 750 billion. Alibaba is said to be a 3 company. So I think our telcos
internet. Having said that, our set country with a minuscule budget will improve in the outlying areas that PLDT and Globe has not already achieved.
Yes, this is only the beginning, Mr. President. We only put it was not found in the President's budget. So the Senate particularly made amendments to the budget and included,
Hardwiring going to be
in many instances, it will be wire tender for services in all provinces nationwide. And the DOST, through the ICTO, is buying the backhaul. So it's aggregated, so the idea is to make it cheaper.
I didn't catch the second to the last sentence.
Yeah, the ICTO, the government, is buying the backhaul, aggregating the purchase.
Back,
Yes,
if there's going to be a subsidy after a year, or else that is the where 30 to 40 years.
Yes.
It's going
Just-
to be the Googles that will carry.
For this program, the director of the ICTO, Mr. President.
Well,
But I'm
I look
convinced
forward
that
to-
by the ending,
So I look forward to that program. And, I want to thank the good sport.
of Senate Bill 2686 under Committee Report number 113.
May Chair request this suspended.
Committee Report on the disagreeing provisions of the Senate Bill number 2277 and House Bill 4085.
And House Bill 4085 is in order.
Sir President, may I ask for a minute suspension as Senator Pia Cayetano would like to present the
Order.
Sir President, may I ask for a minute as Senator Pia Cayetano would like to present the bicameral report.
Resume.
Sir President, before we Senator Pia Cayetano, can we acknowledge the presence of and make of record the presence of Manila Barangay Chairman Association of Districts led by the President Makuha and
Senator, present the bicameral conference committee report.
My pleasure to report back to the... Thank you. Find Mother High School or Inang Paaralan. We identified the Learner School or Inang Paaralan. We identified the DepEd. Mr. President, this is access to relevant quality education program that will enable the youth to overcome personal geographic
report on this
2277.
Sir President, with the consent of the Senate, I move that we resume consider 31 under number 134. This is the Nagoya of the measures that we are in the period of I thus move that we close the period of interpellations.
Period for interpellation is terminated.
Sir President, I move that we open the period for off-committee amendments.
Committee amendments. Period for committee amendments is in.
The author has signified committee amendment.
Sponsor has manifested that no one has proposed any amendment. Period for amendment is terminated.
Likewise, Mr. President, as we close the period of amendments, for the record, there are no individual amendments. I thus move that we approve amendments. I thus move that we approve on second reading Resolution 1331 under Committee Report number 134.
Any objection? Hearing none. Proposed Senate Resolution number
331 under Committee Report number 134.
Any objection? Hearing under Committee Report number
135.
Any objection? Hearing none. Resumption of consideration of the measure is in order.
This is the ratification of the agreement between the Republic of the Philippines and PEMSEA. Sir President, the parliamentary status of the measure is that we are in the period of interpellation. I thus move that we recognize the sponsor, Senator Pia Cayetano.
Senator Cayetano is recognized.
Sir President, again, no other senator has expressed his or her intent to interpellate. I move that we close the period for interpellation.
Period for interpellation of proposed Senate Resolution.
Express his or her intent to interpellate. I move that we close the period for interpellation.
Period for interpellation of proposed Senate Resolution 1332 is hereby terminated.
I move that afternoon, Wednesday, May 20, 2015.
Session is adjourned until the 20